little bit. One more news thing, but it's more of a clip thing too. So Alabama, essentially what happened was there was a fertilization clinic in Alabama, and a guy at the clinic, I don't know if he worked there, if he was, I don't know, but he dropped some of the frozen embryos, and they were damaged and had to be discarded. Well, he got sued, the clinic got sued, but they wanted to sue him for murder or manslaughter because the embryos are people, apparently.
They weren't really wanting to sue him. They were wanting to bring him up on criminal charges.
Essentially, they were trying to do that. Well, it went to the Alabama State Supreme Court, and they determined that, yes, an embryo is a person. They determined it under Dobbs, which was the ruling that basically got rid of Roe v. Wade and made it so the states could now make abortion illegal.
You know what? In all fairness, if they're gonna hit our bodies with it, they kind of gotta go. This sounds like a crazy ass place to go, but it was crazy when they hit my body with it. So
yeah, but that's what it is.
Here
so
we go.
It's part of this whole Republican push to, get rid of abortion. Now they're going after in vitro fertilization. Then next it's going to be gay marriage. Then it's going to be contraception. And they keep saying, oh, well, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But then they do it, and then it happens. And it keeps happening. So it's all bullshit, right, from their perspective. But let's just look at the IV thing in Alabama. So here's the BBC, and they're reporting on it, because it's just amazing.
Now, when Alabama's Supreme Court defined frozen embryos as children last week, the shock and confusion was immediate. Many fertility clinics have paused treatments over fears they could be prosecuted. While the ruling doesn't ban IVF, it's created confusion, but also division among Christian groups in a conservative state that has already banned abortion. Here's Nomi Egbar.
So you got to remember, abortion is already banned in Alabama. Right. And now we're in a situation where IVF is extremely popular. And part of this is also because they don't want gay people to have kids, because that's one of the more common ways gay people have children is through IVF, in vitro fertilization. So basically, the process is you take the sperm and you take an egg, and then you'd fertilize them, and you'd fertilize a bunch of them. And then what you do is you pick the one you want, and you impregnate a person with it, whether it's the mother or a surrogate mother or whoever, right? But a lot of those end up getting discarded anyway. So if you're saying the frozen embryo at the point of conception is a person, then each one of those test tubes is a person under the law. So if you're an IVF clinic, all of those have to be used. Otherwise, it's murder.
And you could literally never throw them away, or you'd be murdering a person.
And if one of them gets damaged...
That would be literally what you'd be saying.
Right, and if one of them gets damaged, or a bunch of them get damaged for whatever reason, then is that negligent homicide? So all these fertilization clinics in Alabama shut down. Go ahead.
There's some crazy power something, and some piece of equipment fails, and all of these embryos get lost suddenly.
Yeah.
Is like you're being charged for murdering a whole bunch of people / embryos.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just crazy stuff, but we're going to get it. So this is Michael Steele. He's on MSNBC now. I don't know why MSNBC keeps bringing on these Republicans, but, whatever. So they're going to cover this a little bit. So we'll get into this.
At least 3 fertility clinics in Alabama have now paused in vitro fertilization, or IVF, after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos in a lab have the same rights as children. The fallout sending shockwaves throughout the state and sending Republican politicians scrambling. You see, IVF is extremely popular. I mean, extremely popular. As Kellyanne Conway's own polling firm found, 86% of all voters support access to IVF, including 78% of self-identified pro-life advocates and 83% of evangelical Christians. So
So yeah, I mean, this is not like this is a small thing. Everybody's kind of in view of it. But now we're sitting there saying, okay, well, if it's a fertilized egg, it's a human. Now I want to say that the ruling in the Supreme Court in Alabama, they cited Dobbs like 15 times as their reason. So they're linking this to the anti-abortion shit. And they cited the Bible. They cited the Bible like 4 or 5 times, which is a violation of the First Amendment.
The Bible is, not a legal document and a violation of the First Amendment. However, you know what? In all fairness, if they're going that way, they can't do that without citing Dobbs. Dobbs is where their entire argument for going that direction is.
Well, right.
So take that, Supreme Court. Look what you just fucking did. Look at what you did. Deal with this one now.
Well, and it's funny. It's funny to cite the Bible because, one, until God shows up and gives his opinion, I'm not going to believe it. And second off, even if God shows up and gives his opinion, then we need to know, do we care about God's opinion? Is that something we should care about? I mean, that's the other question. Either way, it's still stupid. But kind of my point with that is he's gotten to this point where they're trying to push this, but I think it's just such a misunderstood thing. Let me skip to this point. Was it in here? Hang on. Because Nikki Haley initially kind of supported it, and then she walked that back. And then, here it is. Tommy Tuberville, who's a senator, and he's a total idiot, used to be a football coach. This is what happens when you're with a party that elects football coaches and TV celebrities instead of actual fucking, I don't know, constitutional lawyers and, professionals. So here's Tommy Tuberville, and they ask him about the IVF thing, and he's from Alabama. That's where he's a representative of, and he doesn't really understand it. It's fucking hilarious.
Do you have a reaction to the Alabama Supreme Court ruling on the fact that embryos are children?
Yeah, I was all for it. We need to have more kids. We need to have an opportunity to do that. And I thought this was the right thing to do. But
IVF is used to have more children, and right now IVF services are paused at some of the clinics in Alabama. Aren't you concerned that this could impact people who are trying to have kids?
Well, that's for another conversation. I think that conversation is that.
As the reporter tries to literally sit there and explain what happened within her question to try to get him to answer something that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he's a total
idiot. You know what?
regardless of what I think about anything, I feel like I kind of just want to like pat that reporter on the back for like the effort of trying to manage to like in her question try to give him something to make him make sense.
Well, but there were a couple reporters that were trying to explain that to him, and he kept getting stuck. Well, we need to have more children. I'm about more children. Well, this is preventing people from having children. It's a fucking idiot. Now, so now that that's the case, so in Alabama, we got a new educational thing going on. So now, any fertilized embryo is a person. Okay? So, according to the state of Alabama, pop quiz, Lacey, what is this?
That's my cousin Myrtle.
No, this is a chicken.
Which could also be my cousin Myrtle.
In Alabama, sure. But we're looking at the bad side here, which is we're creating this situation where embryos are now people, and it really confuses the whole situation. But it actually presents, I think, a really good opportunity. Because, and you should congratulate me, I'm now a father. Here's my embryo. Oh.
So remind me to buy you a tie for Father's Day.
Thank you. I can drive in the carpool lane now with this puppy with me. That's right. And I'm going to file for the child tax credit. It's perfect. It's all the benefits of having a child with none of the responsibilities.
You know what? I gotta get you one of those.
And you know what else? Ladies in Alabama and other southern states, this embryo has more civil rights than you do. If you're a pregnant woman, you don't have those civil rights that the embryo has. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to know if it's a boy or a girl? It's not either because it doesn't have any sex organs yet. Do you want to know what my
for all of those conservatives that are very stuck on this is either male or female and it can't be any other options.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a real hard time with that one.
Well, it's non-binary right now, so
I feel like they don't like that. I feel like they only want two choices.
no. But anyway, this is honestly, I mean, if you're going to the election, you're voting. Do you really want this to have more rights than your mother or your sister or your daughter? I mean, it's fucked up. If you're a woman, do you want this to have more rights than you?
All right. So why don't you just hold that thing up here? Let's have them look at that container.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. Look at that container. Look at me.
One of these things is
Who
not
should
like the
have
other.
more right?
Right. Exactly. Well, so that's that stupid thing. We'll follow that case as it goes further, but God, we just had to cover that real quick. But let's